Hey y'all, you know something people ask me all the time? Is it too late to invest in real estate? Oh my goodness. Well, I'm going to answer that question and a couple of more in this YouTube video. And as we go to this intro, I'd love it if you'd comment about why you think it is or it isn't too late to invest in real estate. Stay tuned. Hey, I'm Debbie Dobbins. I'm the Queen of Magic, and I'm here to show you women how to have a magical life easily and effortlessly and create magic money on top of it. So I often get this question from all kinds of people, but more importantly from women, because I recently just went to a Girl Scout troop. I'm speaking to these girls that were 11, 12, and 13 years old about real estate, about where they called it their perfect budget, I think, which, I'm not a big fan of the word budget, but they were learning where they might want to live, right, in their life as they grow up. Imagine the oldest was 13 years old, so this is a few years away. But the funny thing is that as I speak about real estate, I can't help but share, especially to a woman, that the most magical thing that you can do for yourself as a woman is own real estate. The first place you start is your very own home that you live in, that you pay a mortgage on or you buy cash. The fact of the matter is that is the best investment on the planet. If you want to know more about investing in real estate, there's plenty of videos on this channel, but I just want to talk about, is it too late to invest in real estate? No, it's absolutely not. I tell women two things, and that is, in order to build wealth, you have to invest in real estate and you have to own your own business. So there's plenty of videos on this channel about owning your own business as well. But let me explain to you why it's not too late to invest in real estate. Because I've been on the planet for almost 70 years. So that being said, I've watched a lot of things. I've watched a lot of things come and go, from the Cabbage Patch doll to the dot-com explosion to a meltdown in 2008. And what I know, even in the meltdown of 2008 when the real estate market took a dip, even then I knew one of the best investments was to wait till that dip happened, which frankly, it didn't last very long. The dip went from here to here, and then it started to go back up. The best thing on the planet was to invest in real estate. So I actually have another YouTube channel about my community, and I do videos on is it a good time to buy all the time. Somebody made a quote one time, and I'd have to look it up on the internet to know who it's attributable to, but they said, it's real estate. They're not making any more. We live on this little ball called Earth, and there's only a finite amount of land. There's a whole lot of water, and there's a finite amount of land. They're not making any more of it. So when you invest in real estate, you are not only building generational wealth for yourself and your family, you are allowing yourself the freedom to own something. You don't have to account for your lifestyle to anybody else. As I've always told women, we're looking for that freedom. So I'm not of the generation that we marched for our vote, but I was so close with my grandmother and my mother that I am so keenly aware of the fact that we as women used to be considered chattel. Do you know what that means? Property, somebody else's property. In the state of Texas where I live part-time, there used to be a law that said that women could not own property without their father or their husband being on title with them. So just the mere fact that we as women can own real estate in our own name, it's all ours, is absolutely phenomenal compared to where we were just a few decades ago. And when you own real estate, and I'm going to just use owning your first home as an example. I'm not even talking about investing going forward, because at the end of that conversation, you can start to look at investing. But the first thing, the very, very first thing that you have to do is invest in that home that you're going to live in. So not only do you have the freedom of having a space that's yours and yours alone, you don't have to account to your whereabouts or to your payments or to the way that you keep your home to a landlord. And you're not paying the landlord's mortgage, by the way. But if you have your own home, your very first home, it's so little to get into it. That's why it's such a dynamite investment for women to begin with. You have such a little investment to get in. And when I talk about investing, it's always about leveraging your cash. When you get a home that's your very own for a minimal amount of money down, and then you make payments on it. So it's like having a slot at the top, like your house is a piggy bank. It's just money going in, going in, going in. Because we all probably learned at some point in our lives growing up as little girls, or we had a piggy bank, or somebody gave us something, some version of a piggy bank to put money in, right? To save. What are you saving for? Well, you're saving for a rainy day. Well, that's kind of boring, but yeah, that's a good idea. You're saving for whatever that dream is, right? And that savings can turn into an accelerated savings path by investing. And just by investing in your first home, you begin to build wealth. Because if you, I know this is probably, if you listen to Dave Ramsey, you're going to probably choke over this. But the fact is that is the one debt that is such good debt, because you are leveraging your cash. Instead of, let's say a house here in Wichita Falls is $200,000, and instead of taking $200,000 and dumping it into a structure on dirt, I take 3% of that $200,000 and I make my mortgage payments each month. But then I'm free to do whatever I need to do with the rest of that money. But while that's happening, I'm building equity. I'm building wealth inside of this house by making those payments, because each month the balance goes down from that loan, but also the appreciation, which has been historic except for one little bit of time in the 2008. But all of that is appreciating. There's so few things on the planet that appreciate when you put money into them. They actually pay you a return on your investment. I've looked at the stock market and mutual funds and IRAs and cryptocurrency and all those things. You can buy antiques. You can, if you invest in something that has royalties, then you're really making some bank. Ask Kevin on Shark Tank. But the fact is that what you really want to do is begin to look at your first investment of any investment whatsoever should be a home. And then from there, you can leverage yourself to buy that next property and turn your home that you live in into a rental property without the requisite. Because if you were to just go out and buy a rental property, you're going to buy a house that you're going to rent to somebody and you think you're going to make cash, it's 20% down, not 3%. So all in all, leveraging your money, buying a home that's going to build generational wealth, and then allowing yourself the freedom to be in your own home is the very first investment that you want to make in real estate. And that question is it still a good time to invest in real estate? 100%. Because if you are already one of those women that owns your own home, now is the time to think about leveraging that into what property could you buy going forward. Maybe you're going to buy a rental. Maybe you're going to buy a fix and flip. Maybe you're going to buy an Airbnb property. All of those things, I've got videos on all of those different types of investment strategies. And at the end of the day, I don't care what the public says. I don't care what the press says. I remember back in the early 1980s, because people will say this only because the interest rates are high. Back in the early 1980s, I was selling loans back then at 18% interest. We're at 6 or 7 right now. This is what's so interesting, is that unless you've been on the planet for a little while, you have only your tunnel vision perspective to look at and say, oh, it's not a good time to buy real estate. Do you know how many times I've heard that over the last 30 or 40 years? It's not a good time to buy real estate. Every single person that bought real estate 40 years ago, 30 years ago, 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 2 years ago, is making money, building wealth. So as a woman, the best thing I can tell you to do is, number one, buy your first home or invest in more real estate. and own your own business. So check out the playlist here on owning your own business, because that in and of itself will give you the freedom that you desire. So I invite you to click on the link to get the free download that'll give you a little bit more information to share with yourself about how to make money. I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you'd like to learn more, please subscribe to this channel and literally stay tuned for more tips on how to have a magical life. See you later.